The Jinn's prison. In the golden sands of Al-Suhail, 3 children, Hamza, his sister Amina, and their friend Karim, played near the dunes. Their small village was surrounded by endless desert, where water was scarce, and the people prayed daily for rain to save their crops. Life in Al-Suhail was simple but hard, with every day a struggle to survive. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the dunes, Hamza spotted a lizard scurrying across the sand. He chased it eagerly, his feet kicking up dust as he ran. Suddenly, his foot struck something hard buried beneath the sand. He stumbled but quickly recovered, curiosity lighting up his face. "Come here," he called to the others, dropping to his knees. "What is it?" Amina asked, running to his side. Hamza brushed away the sand, revealing the edge of a large ancient jar. The jar was made of dark clay, weathered by time, and covered with strange carvings that seemed to shimmer faintly in the sunlight. It looked like something out of an old story, something magical. "It's just a jar," Karim said, his voice uneasy. "We should leave it." "What if it's treasure?" Hamza said, excitement bubbling up inside him. His mind raced with thoughts of gold and jewels hidden for centuries. "It could be cursed," Karim warned, taking a step back. "We shouldn't touch it." But Hamza's curiosity was too strong to resist. With Amina's reluctant help, he dug the jar out of the sand. It was heavy, but the 3 of them managed to carry it back to Hamza's house. They hid it under a wooden table, away from the prying eyes of adults. That night, as the village fell silent under the stars, Hamza lay awake staring at the jar. Its carvings seemed to glow faintly in the moonlight, and he felt a strange pull toward it. "Don't open it," Amina whispered, sitting beside him. Her voice trembled with fear. "It feels wrong." Hamza shrugged her off. "What if it's valuable? This could change everything for us," he said, twisting the lid. The moment the jar opened, the room filled with a freezing wind. The small oil lamp flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. A deep, rumbling voice echoed in the air, sending chills down their spines. "Who dares disturb my prison?" Smoke began pouring out of the jar, thick and dark, swirling around the room like a storm. Amina screamed, clutching Hamza's arm tightly, while Karim stumbled back, his eyes wide with fear. The smoke rose higher, twisting into the shape of a towering figure. Its eyes glowed like burning coals, and its voice rumbled like thunder. "I am Malik, the Jinn," it said, its form shifting between fire and shadow. "For centuries, I have been trapped in this wretched jar. Now you have freed me. For that, I grant you 3 wishes, but beware, every wish comes with a price." Hamza's fear melted into awe. 3 wishes? Anything I want?" he asked, his voice trembling with excitement. "Yes," the Jinn replied, a sharp grin spreading across its face. "But be wise, boy. Wishes are not gifts, they are bargains. Choose carefully, or you may regret what you ask for." Amina shook her head violently. "Hamza, don't trust him," she pleaded. "This isn't right." But Hamza's mind raced with possibilities. "This is our chance to fix everything," he said, ignoring her protests. "The Jinn could help us." Malik's eyes gleamed with amusement. "Go ahead, boy," he said, his voice smooth and inviting. "Tell me your heart's desire." The next morning, Hamza made his first wish. Standing before the Jinn, he took a deep breath. "Our village has no water, and the crops are dying. I wish for the river to be full again." Malik's fiery eyes glowed brighter. "Your wish is granted," he said, snapping his fingers. A gust of wind howled through the room, and the jar shook with a deep, resonating hum. When the children ran outside, they saw water rushing through the dry riverbed. The villagers, who had long prayed for rain, gathered in amazement, shouting with joy. Women filled their clay pots, and children splashed in the cool, clear stream. Hamza's chest swelled with pride. "I did something good," he said, smiling at Karim, but their joy didn't last. Days later, the river overflowed, flooding the fields. The water destroyed the crops and filled the houses. Worse still, venomous snakes and scorpions crawled out of the rising waters, invading the village and terrifying the people. "This isn't a blessing, it's a curse," an elder cried. "What have you done?" Karim demanded, his voice shaking with anger. Hamza stared at the destruction in disbelief. "I was only trying to help," he said softly, guilt weighing on his chest. Amina grabbed his hand. "The Jinn warned you, Hamza. Why didn't you listen?" Hamza clenched his fists, determined to fix his mistake. "I'll make another wish," he said. "I'll make everything better." Hamza approached Malik again, his voice filled with desperation. "I wish for fertile land that will never flood or dry out," he said firmly. Malik's grin widened. "Another wish, another price," he said, snapping his fingers once more. The air grew still, and the ground beneath them shimmered like gold. Overnight, the barren fields around the village turned lush and green. Crops grew faster than anyone had ever seen. The villagers celebrated, calling it a miracle. But the miracle soon turned into a nightmare. Within days, the crops twisted into grotesque shapes. Giant fruit split open, revealing rotten, foul-smelling insides. The animals that grazed on the grass grew sick, their eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "What have you done now?" Karim shouted, his face red with anger. "You're making everything worse." Hamza felt a wave of despair wash over him. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he whispered. Malik appeared, his smoky form flickering like a flame. "You wished for abundance. I gave it to you," he said mockingly. Amina grabbed Hamza by the shoulders. "We have to stop. No more wishes," she begged. But Hamza couldn't leave things as they were. He clenched his jaw. "I'll fix everything with the last wish," he said. Hamza stood before Malik, his voice trembling. "I wish for our village to go back to the way it was before I opened the jar." Malik's laughter filled the air, dark and echoing. "Ah, the undoing wish," he said. "It is always the hardest." His fiery form grew larger as he snapped his fingers. The ground trembled, and a blinding light enveloped the village. Hamza felt himself lifted off the ground, his body weightless in the glow. When he opened his eyes, he was standing in the middle of the desert. The village was gone. The houses, the people, everything vanished. All that remained was sand stretching endlessly in every direction. "What happened?" Amina cried, looking around in panic. "You erased everything," Karim shouted, his face pale with fury. "Our home, our families, they're gone because of you." Hamza fell to his knees, his heart heavy with guilt. "I was trying to help," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. Moral of the story: be careful what you wish for and never let greed or haste cloud your judgment. True solutions require wisdom, patience, and understanding, not shortcuts that may lead to unintended consequences. Sometimes the answers we seek come not from magic or power, but from the strength within ourselves and the bonds we share with others.